Welcome to the Unzipped Mind podcast. My name is Nick Smith. I'm here with Greg Minikis, Dylan Jessen, and we are back with Breya Chan-Strong.
Yes. Hi.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Welcome
back.
Welcome
back. Breya was on last week with us, and she has been on before as well. And last time we talked about authenticity, but yesterday or last week we talked about body dysmorphic
Body dysmorphic disorder and just body image. Yeah.
And body images. And for everybody too, if you guys didn't watch that episode, go back last week. Check it out. It's great. But Breya's coming into us. She is a licensed family.
Yeah. So licensed marriage and family therapist, which essentially just means that I do therapy with folks, and I'm able to do that with individuals, couples, families.
You're all inclusive.
All inclusive. I do not discriminate of
Awesome.
who I see. However, I kind of have to with my current job that I'm in because, it's restrictive in that way. So I'm only working with individuals at this time, but I do spice it up with some family sessions sometimes, but technically we can't do ongoing family sessions. That's not what they're contracted for. That's not the program, but I feel like it's so important with the folks that I'm working with that I make it happen.
Yes, I love it. And you are licensed in Washington or in Oregon, but you're only working in Washington.
That's correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
So she's wonderful. Today we are talking about, we're going to continue our conversation on BDD.
We're going to talk about body positivity and body acceptance and body neutrality and what these things are and like how to get to a good place or just a place where you're accepting of your body.
So again, if you guys want a little bit of backstory, a little bit of foundation for the conversation we're having today, go ahead and just scroll up one and go ahead and listen to the other episode, okay? And so we're going to get into it. Yeah.
Would you say that this is still under the umbrella topic of body image?
Yeah, for sure. This is under the guise of body image, and there's a few concepts that I want to talk about. But what I would really like to talk about first before I go into the more, I guess, kind of definition side of things is the experiences that I had recently that caused me to want to come back to your guys' show to have this conversation. And it's also something that has always been very prevalent and forced in my face, as well as, of course, many other people's face, the idea of body image, right? Sure. But recently, I had 2 interactions with my daughter. So I have a daughter who just turned 6. And for any of you folks who have kids or who have regular interaction with kids, you know that there's a lot of stuff they're figuring out, right? And their body and what they look like and what other people look like is one of those things and what that means. So one of the instances was I was talking with my daughter and she was talking to me about how she was playing with her friends, and one of her friends said that the other friend was skinny, and she said, "Mom, what does skinny mean?"
Whoa!
And she was 5 at this time, and I said, skinny is just a body shape. It's just the shape of somebody's body, and I said, and all shapes are beautiful, right? And but it just dawned on me, like, she has no idea what that is, because for the adult mind, that means something totally different for a lot of people. So that was one interaction I had. And then the other interaction I had was I was helping her get dressed in her room, and she's really into counting right now. She's like learning how to count. She wants to count everything. Whoa. So we were counting different body parts, right? Like 2 hands, 5 fingers, etc. And she's looking at me and she points to my forehead and she goes, "Yeah, Mommy, and you have 4 stripes." and I said, "Yeah, you're right. I do. I do have 4 stripes.
Your sergeant stripes.
Yeah.
The understripes.
Yeah. And And I laughed a little bit, right? But again, she didn't think anything of it, right? She didn't say it in a mean way. She didn't say it in a joking way. She was just pointing things out and had no idea like how that would impact me or anything like that. And it was in that moment, like everything happened so quick, right? But it was in that moment where I thought to myself, this is it, right? These are the moments that are so important because I see the adults that have these experiences where they would have a parent maybe say, they would say that to one of their parents and maybe have the experience of their parent scolding them, right? Or telling them that wrinkles are bad, right? And then that's going to register completely differently for those individuals as they grow up, and they're going to be so much more conscious and aware as opposed to having an interaction with your child where you're just like, I do. And that's it. And like, you move on.
Well, I think that also like, and you know, we are talking about body image, right? But I think also speaks to some cultural stuff too. Cause like, we've talked about it. You have Thai, right? You come from a Thai background. Yeah. So, and in other Asian cultures, age is wisdom. Age is fine. Like that's okay. You get old. That happens. For some reason, in America, it is not okay to age. It is not an ideal. Age is not beauty, right? We are consistently trying to. How many companies are out there that sell anti-wrinkle cream? Right. Or you don't want to have your gray hair. I loved, like, it was a couple years ago. It was like over 5 years ago now, I think. But there was that movement of gray hair, right? Not dyeing your hair anymore and letting your hair be its natural color. To me, that's gorgeous, right? Because like you are getting older. Yeah. Cool. Accept it. Be okay with that. But we have, again, all these pressures that tell us it's not okay to look your age. Right. But in wrapping that back, I think it's beautiful, the innocence and like honesty of a child. Yeah. Just like what you're saying, there was no malice, there was no joke or anything. It was just an observation. And because it's a child who has no filter, which is A-okay because you're not supposed to at that age, it's just honesty and it's pure. It's like, oh, you have wrinkles.
Right. And she doesn't even know that's what they're called. No, she doesn't even know what a wrinkle is. That's why she called them stripes.
I
love
because
that.
she has no idea. She doesn't know.
Cute.
Well, I'll never forget one of those similar moments with my daughter. You know, my daughter's 11 now, but when she was, I want to say about the same age, 5 or 6, when she was kind of first starting to like dye her hair, she was going like green and going blue. And
love that.
Someone in my family, the first time they had saw it, made some comment of like, oh, your hair was so pretty before. You know, you had such pretty blonde hair. And I could see that change in my daughter. And there was a change for a period of time after that of like not as proud when she would come over, you know, with that family and show her hair. You know, it wouldn't be the first thing, oh, look what I did. Look what I dyed my hair. And so I'll never forget that moment and of like how impactful that was of instead of supporting her for, you know, what she wanted to do to, you know, appear as she wanted to appear. And then it became an insecurity around some people, you know?
Right.
It's just one phrase from one person, right? And I think it's interesting because like, yes, influencers or people on the streets, they could have impact on us depending on where your mindset is and how comfortable you are with yourself. But it's the people who are close to us, right? That they have the power in those comments.
Yeah.
And
because they're so important.
They're so important, right? And you hear them, and you're like, "Oh, that's what you're thinking, right?"
And then for children, I don't want to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But then for children, like people who you're close to, especially people who are older than you, these are the people you're looking to for guidance on what's socially acceptable, what is attractive, how should I comport myself, what should I look like. Like for the dyed hair thing, it's so interesting. Like Zoe dyes her hair green, let's say, and she's like, whoa, green, amazing, limes and leaves and like all these cool things that are also green. She goes to the party or like the barbecue, she's like, hey, everyone, look at my hair. She's just excited to show off this artwork that is now her head. And then somebody's like, oh, your hair was so pretty before. That's communicating so much in just that one little phrase. The sort of artistic thing that you did with your hair is actually not important. It's not artistic. It's not even cute or anything. 2, there is this standard of like, you should never dye your hair because it makes you look like what? Like, what's behind that? It makes you look like you like punk rock, or that you're like, I don't know, an artist or something. Like, what is the negative connotation with that makes it so that it's not good to dye your hair? Like, there's so much baked into that. Or you have blonde hair, and so blonde is special, so you should have kept yourself blonde or something. Like, there's so much cultural value communicated in that little snarky comment, you know?
That's what I love your response to that comments, because what are you teaching her there? Your acceptance.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not an immediate where you're outwardly showing that that's an insecurity in any form or anything. It's accepting. Yeah, that is right.
And that's the other thing. It's like with that one comment, right? Not to keep bringing up that one thing, but with that comment, it's interesting because like in that comment, you're saying they were, so now you're saying they're not. Right, the opposite side of that. You were so beautiful.
Your hair was so
So because I changed the color of my hair, I am no longer beautiful.
Right.
That's the singular right there. That's it. Cool. That's how minimal. Right. That's so shallow.
Right.
And the other aspect of it is, I said it last week. Right. It comes down to opinions. That was another person's opinion that literally does nothing.
Right.
And they felt the need to not voice, like they felt the need to voice it and not keep it to themselves, because like it's not going to affect anything. And like I see in our culture, especially in our culture nowadays, everyone feels that their opinions need to be heard by everybody, and their opinions are the correct opinions, and they force those on everybody, and they're only thinking about how they are feeling in that moment, not about how their words or what they're doing is going to affect the people they're putting it on. And then they walk away feeling great. Right. Because they're like, I got my point across.
I said my piece.
I said my piece.
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm empowered. I'm powerful. And then they're not thinking about the person they just up. Excuse my language, but like the person that they just left with their little comment, their little opinion that they thought needed to be heard, they just could have ruined somebody's day. Right? And I was just watching, I think it was Busta Rhymes, honestly, but I was just listening to somebody speak about it. You have 60 seconds. You have 84 or 83,300 something seconds in a day. Are you going to waste Are you going to waste 60 seconds? Like, is their opinion or is what's going on, is that 60 seconds worth ruining all that? Or are you going to hold on to that? And like, it's just something I've been thinking about. And that's when people start coming at me with their opinions. If it's not going to benefit, change my perception in a positive way, or help me grow, cool. You can say your piece, I'm gonna walk away. Or I'm just gonna be like, this conversation's over, I'm out.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah.
I want to come back to one thing that you had said about at least my experience with that Asian culture is that getting old is an accepted thing, and at the same time, it's definitely pointed out if you look old, right? And that looking old is bad in the Asian culture. At least in my experience interacting with my Asian relatives, like they will straight up tell you like, you're looking old. You're looking old. Yeah.
The skin product industry in the U.S. I don't think is any larger than that of like South Korea. I mean, maybe just because it's a bigger country, but yeah, like Asian countries definitely have like a huge industry with that.
Yeah.
It's interesting that.
Well, I appreciate that perspective.
And again, that's my personal experience, which may be totally different than other Asian cultures, but or Asian families. But mine was like, no, my Thai aunties would definitely point that out,
and in a very direct way.
In a very direct way.
Okay, that's been my experience as well. You know, talking to my ex and other people from East Asian cultures. So one thing that you were saying, Dylan, the idea of like, well, it's so easy to just kind of like say your piece, give your opinion, and then walk away without really thinking about the effect that it has on the other person. So with your example with your daughter, your daughter says, "Hey, Mommy got a few stripes on your forehead," and so you had let's say two broad choices. One was you could have reacted emotionally and said, "Oh, you can't say that to me. I'm ashamed of these.
Right,
these are bad things that are on my forehead, and from now on, you need to know that these are bad things, and when you start to get them, you need to view them as bad. You need to buy expensive skin products.
Right?
So you could have communicated that whole bunch of your own sort of unresolved issues and feelings and all these cultural values as well. Or can you just describe what the other choice was? Like, what did you do in that moment with your daughter?
Yeah, well, the other choice was just to acknowledge what she was identifying, right? Like, yeah, you're right. I do have these lines on my face, and that's it. I never, I could have gone, and this is where I guess it comes back to the definitions, like we were talking about, right? So with body positivity, it would be really just kind of promoting and loving and being really, really proud of your body, and that was, like I told you in the first part, that was something that started back in the 60s, right? Where there was definitely a lot of discrimination that was going on for marginalized groups.
Sure.
And so this was a social movement that was started to really promote equality and support people in all different types of body types. And so I could have gone that route with my daughter, where I was like, yeah, I love these stripes. I'm so proud of them. Like, these are things that show that I've gone through some tough stuff, and and they're also happy lines. Like, they're also lines that show that, oh, I've made happy faces so many times that it is just really just stuck in there now. And the route I think that I chose to go was just the body acceptance route, which is it's just accepting what your body is. It's not saying like you've got to love your body all the time and feel good about your body all the time, but it's just accepting it for what it is, right? And then the body neutrality, which I'm going to be honest with y'all, that's a new topic to me. That is one that I've never really heard of. And for me, I kind of see it similarly to the body acceptance, but from my understanding of it is that it is the view that your body is neither positive or negative, and that your body does not determine your worth, right? So what your body looks like does not determine its worth, and it's a phrase or a name or a concept that was created with social media.
So you don't identify as your body type,
right?
Exactly. So you're not like, I'm athletic or I am big, right?
Yeah.
You are who you are. Like,
Exactly.
This is me.
Exactly.
I like that. I do.
Yeah,
I
me
like that a lot. And it does. I like what you were saying. It sounds like it's within that same vein of body acceptance, but with a more open view of it, I guess, like a little more like,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Because
that's interesting.
With body positivity, that can feel really overwhelming for folks that do have body dysmorphic disorder.
Sure.
Or
Like,
that
where do they start?
Or that do have generalized anxiety, or not generalized anxiety, oh my gosh, that do have eating disorders, because they could feel pigeonholed to be like, oh, well, I have to love my body. And so body acceptance and body neutrality really allows somebody to not necessarily have to love their body every day, but to at least just accept their body for what it is, and to still take care of their body.
Well, I would like to.
It's a really interesting distinction.
I would like to touch on that too, because, and this is my personal opinion, right? Again, and like, I'm just going to throw this out there for the conversation, because the way I see it, right, and because we've brought it up a couple times now of not loving your body, right, or not being okay with your body and accepting it. I think, especially with the body positivity movement, it's important. Like, I'm not doubting that. And just with what you were just saying with people with ODD, or not OD, Jesus, BDD. Woo, we are not talking about oppositional defiance. Okay, they're defiant about their body.
I defy my body.
So, but the way I see it too is like, with some body positivity, when you're like, I have to love my body, you don't.
Yeah.
Because that's how you change. Sometimes you're not okay with your body shape, or you're not okay with what you look like. Cool. You can change it. And that's what's beautiful about it, right? And I think that's what's really cool about the neutrality or the acceptance part. Because when you accept it, that's when you can change it, right? So if you are accepting your body for what it is, you can look at yourself and be like, oh, like personally me, I'm skinny, right? And like I've battled being able to hold weight my whole entire life. And because of that, when I look at myself, I see myself as really skinny, or that I am scrawny, right? That word is put towards men, and it's usually used not in a good way.
No.
Right? So I get tattoos, right? To change how my body appears. And it makes it, to me, I like how it looks, right? And then I work out. I got really into athletics because it makes me feel better, and it changes my body shape to something I'm happy with. And that's where I think not being okay with your body to a limit, I'm not saying hate yourself, right? But not liking your body is okay. And I think that also needs to be said, because especially, I don't know, the conversation around now, and also where we're at, there's this idea where I feel like we live in these duplicities where it's either you are not okay with your body, or you got to be positive and body aware and like body accepted, right? You don't have to play in
like
either end.
dichotomies.
You can be okay in the middle and be like, I'm comfortable with these aspects of my body. I like this. I don't like this. I want to change this. And I just want to acknowledge that space.
Yeah, no, I agree. It can be a motivating factor for sure. And I also would say that we've got to keep in mind the ableist part there, right? Like we've got to, we've got the ability to change. We've got to keep that in mind too, right? So folks that have physical limitations, or folks that are of these marginalized communities, right? Like there are certain aspects that maybe cannot be. And so I think it's a motivator for folks that, there are some ways that they can make changes. And at the same time, I think the most important thing, like from a therapist perspective, when I have clients coming in, I think it's really important to see where that root comes from, of like, why? Like, why is it that you are unhappy with these various things? Like, what were your early experiences of your body, and how your body was viewed, and how your body was talked about? And because oftentimes that can be really eye-opening and normalizing for people to see, like, whoa, so I think like this because of these experiences I've had. Like, this isn't just how I need to think about things. There's a reason. I
want to kind of bridge the gap between what you were saying and what you were just saying, which is that there are some positive physical changes that we can make with our bodies.
Yeah,
I have not great posture. The muscles in my back and my neck are weak. So when I do wrestling or sparring, I get pain and headaches, and it's bad. And it's purely laziness on my part. So if I want to do this athletic, I mean, there's other things going into it, but if I want to do this particular athletic practice, I need to start doing these supplementary exercises so I'll have less pain. So that's like, there is a physical change I need to make that would be beneficial for my health. It'll be good for my posture in general, even if I'm not practicing martial arts. Yeah. So, however, there are other things, maybe like hip weakness, leg weakness, that I can make the same argument. If I want to be able to hold those low kung fu stances, I need to do more leg strength training, for instance. And so that's fine. That's neutral. But the shame that I feel, that's what I can probably let go of. I have this shame that I just don't do enough cardio, and I'm a little too squishy. There's a little too much like extra fat. And what I probably need is some more body acceptance. Now I may want to, like you said, make those positive changes. I guess I could convert that shame into some kind of motivation that will motivate me. That has not happened yet. There's been plenty of shame, and there's not been much of a motivation conversion. But so I think that's something that I can do. I have an able body, so I can do those things and make those changes. But for me, who can make the changes, or for people who have a disability and who can make those changes, for all of us, it seems like body acceptance is an important foundation, in a way that body positivity maybe it's not as universal because I can't celebrate. I feel like I can't celebrate my body.
Yeah.
I just don't feel comfortable enough in it.
And there certainly are some people that really do. Like, I think Lizzo is like the biggest name out there,
Yeah, sure.
right? Who really, she exudes that body positivity.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's necessarily the thing that everybody has to strive for. Like, I think it's okay for body acceptance or body neutrality to be where you're at. And it's also important to note that these things are fluid, right? So, and that's okay too. And the other thing I was gonna say in response to what you had said about the hair, and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm like picking on you, and I'm not meaning to pick on you.
You're
when
not.
I'm like saying all of these.
You're not. I bring these things up all day. It's fine.
I keep bringing it back, but it just things that stood out to me about like that concept of dyeing your hair, right? Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is like my authentic self. This hair is dyed. Because I had gray hair like really pretty early on, like my early 20s. I had gray hair, and I'm like, I'm just not ready. Like, I am not ready to own this gray hair yet. I'm not there yet.
And that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's just what I want to come back to. Like, I also think it's beautiful to own your body. Like, get like, if you're ready, if you're in that place, have dyed hair, like have dyed hair, like or not to not have dyed hair, and just to rock that white, rock that gray, do it. Yes, but it's body positivity is about what makes you feel good.
Okay.
And that's what I love. So Nick and myself are tattooed. Nick is heavily tattooed.
You're getting there.
I'm getting there. I'm catching up, but I still got some work to do. My legs are more anyway.
Let's compare. Go.
He's definitely got me.
Strip boys.
Gotta
show everybody.
So on that note, that's the Unzip Mind After Hours.
It's a late night podcast.
But that's one of the things I love about body. Why am I drawing a blank right now?
Body positivity, body acceptance,
No,
body
when
neutrality.
Body modifications.
Oh, body modifications.
Thank you.
Okay.
Boom. But we got there. Thank you for the prompting.
I really felt like we were playing
You were
that
there.
game.
We did, and we did it successfully. But with body modifying, right? There are definitely people who are like, "Whoa, why would you do that to your body?" Exactly what we were talking about with the hair dye and everything. Why did you do that to your body? You were beautiful. Because I didn't like that. That didn't match me. What I'm doing is I'm exposing myself, my true self, how I see myself inside,
Right.
and I'm closing that dissonance gap. And then your judgmental ass is going to come in here and rain on my parade. Right? And that's where I think a lot of positive, like body positivity and body neutrality, or like honestly, I feel like this falls more into the body positivity side, where you can confront those naysayers and be like, no, you hold your shield up nice and strong. Let them, like, don't let their bullshit seep into your positivity, right? And that's the thing, like with body modifying, right? Like, yes, I get tattoos. That's one of the more mild body modifications, right? Is tattoos. You get piercings. People get split tongues. People get they have different things done to their ears. They put horns. Like, there are people who get horns, and it's dope. Not for me. It's sick though. Support it. And then imagine how much courage that takes for somebody to have a procedure to modify their body like that, and then to present themselves to the world. They're presenting their true selves. And I think that needs to be celebrated. And what's really cool in this day and age, and especially where we live in Portland, right?
Yeah.
We all four have very professional jobs. Nick and I are tatted. We talked about this. We have tattoos. Our tattoos show. Nick's more than mine. But our tattoos show.
And we're allowed to show them.
Yeah, we're not judged. We're not told to cover up. We're actually, in where we work in our profession, we're actually told, no, your tattoos could help. Because they can help us relate. People will see different tattoos. One, conversation starter, great. Other one is like, a lot of us who are tattooed, we come from different worlds. We have reasons we are tattooed. And it helps where people see us, and like our clients will see that. They kind of get an understanding, like reading that book cover. They get an understanding, like I can open up.
Yep.
I can talk to this person.
Yep.
Instead of some clean cut, real academic based individual coming up, and it's just gonna be like, oh great, this is gonna be another therapist, or this is gonna be another doctor cocking me, and it's not. And really quickly I learned that, and it's because we get tattooed. It's because we have body modifications. But I was bringing that up just because, like, in the world of body positivity, I think it's now where we are in our culture, it's becoming more accepted. Like, body modifications are becoming more accepted, and I think that's beautiful because it's allowing people to close that dissonance gap between what they feel they need to express to people and what they truly are. And I don't know, I want to keep moving that direction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely more of a West Coast thing in my experience. In Jersey, there was pretty much none of my administrators had tats or anything like that. Whereas, like, where we work, like, very high, really awesome nurses, administrators, just like very like badass, qualified, degreed people with just like full sleeves, gauges, like really like I find it cooler. Like, it feels cooler. Like, I'm in a more artistic environment. Like, it's just my culture, man. I like it way better out here. Partially for that reason.
Well, no, I agree with that, because like all my first tattoos were coverable. Like, for a long time, you wouldn't know I had tattoos, because growing up back east, I grew up in New Hampshire. Growing up back east, you don't show your tattoos.
Right.
You are in a professional experience, and this is even when I was a ski instructor. Okay, you don't show your tattoos. It's not professional. And then people look at you, and this is also like early 2000s. Now, it doesn't matter, and that's beautiful. Like, it's like, yo, show who you are, and you don't have to wear these sleeves. I don't have to wear long sleeves. I can if I choose to, because there are sometimes you don't need to, and like you might trigger something or whatnot, but. For the most part, they're much more accepted. And I love having conversations. Like, I'm not one of those people who's like, don't talk about my tattoos. Like, I love having conversations with people when they like see my tattoos and want to talk about them and whatnot. It's like, I don't know. How do you feel about that?
No, I mean, same thing. Just like you say, you know, like, I don't even go in details on mine, but I have a black and gray sleeve and I have a color sleeve. And, you know, part of the thing I kind of explained a little bit to patients, that's two different times of my life. One was dark when I was using, and I got a big old clown skull, and I have all this kind of dark artwork. And then once I got clean, you know, I got my daughter's name over here. I've got all color. I've got the roses. I've got, you know, it's a big contrast. And so that just opens the door a little bit into my life and why I'm even working here in this hospital, or like what I'm trying to do here in this field. And I like how you explained it. You know, patients like, oh, okay, you know, maybe I can open up a little bit instead of this just being another. Because I think patients commonly see us as one large entity, and rather than that being able to relate a little bit.
Yeah, on an individual level.
And that's just the way I see it too. Like, talking about your tattoos and just people who do body modifications, it's a way of us showing how we feel inside and accepting. It's for me what it really comes down to
striving for that acceptance.
Striving for that, exactly. Being that true, authentic, accepting who I am, and I am trying to present that to you. And this, like, going back to last week's episode, just thinking of how we speak to each other and giving people grace and giving people love. And if I understand it, tattoos are not for everybody. Body modifications aren't for everybody. If you have an opinion about my body, you can keep that shit to yourself. 100%. If you want to be positive and you want to tell me I like your tattoos, cool. Yeah, definitely tell me that. If you tell me I shouldn't tattoo my body, ink's in there, man. It's permanent. You missed that boat. You were late.
You were late.
Right? And your opinion does nothing but affect me negatively.
And
yeah,
I think to kind of wrap it to what we brought up at the beginning too is really be mindful of our children and just young individuals in general, because I'm sure a lot of the issues in adults are derived from when they were children.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's who I work with is those people who have grown up, who have had these really hurtful experiences.
So how do you address that?
We talk about it. And we talk about how it's bullshit. Really, I mean, quite frankly. And I do use that language with my clients.
It's helpful because people, I need that validation sometimes. I tell you something like, oh, I grew up with this experience. Like, this dude told me that I had too much fat once, and I just like think about it a lot. And then for you to tell me that that's bullshit, that's very reassuring. Like, you didn't tell me, but I feel like you did.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is. And like, it's that space where you're creating that safe environment where you can talk about these things, and then you're going to be this sort of positive and validating perspective that in itself is healing.
Right.
I think.
And I think it's also important for them to have influences that are positive supports for their body. And also talking about like social media in general, being mindful yourself of what you are looking at, what you are filtering in your algorithm here of your phone, because obviously it's going to pick up, like if you click on something, we know there's going to be more of that thing that's going to be coming into your feed, right? So be mindful of that. Be mindful of how those things are further impacting the way that you view yourself, and even block those sites if you're able to.
Yeah.
So I was
right?
going to ask you, like, especially since social media plays such a role, right? Like, think of how many apps are out there that are social media based apps, right? So your clientele that you're working with, is your age range kind of like where we're at right now, like 20s, 30s area, or even younger?
The folks that I see?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see folks 18 and up. So
Okay.
I've got, they're
So you
their
got the
range.
gamut. You got the gamut. So with that, right? Because especially 18 up, you got cell phones, right? Social media is going to be very heavy.
Oh, it's huge.
So how do you address that with them? Are you sitting there working with them and going like, let's change the algorithm, or are you like, for right now in this part of your treatment, we're shutting this shit down? Or do you like, how do you mitigate those outside factors?
Well, again, what they want to do with their phone is what they want to do with their phone, and I just have a conversation with them talking about how those things influence their views of themselves.
So you come
their
from like an
thoughts
educational
of themselves. Yeah, or I'll even just ask them, when you look at that stuff, what does it make you think about yourself? How do you think it's impacting you? How does that feel in your body? How's your body responding to those things when you're looking at these pictures or these ads of people telling you things that you need to do or buy?
Or a bunch of people who look a certain way that's very close to the sort of social media ideal of what a body should look like. And if you're constantly looking at that, like, how is that affecting your mental health and your view of yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really do tell them to limit to their screen time with those things.
Which
That's
makes sense.
Probably good for everybody.
Because
Makes
there is not much benefit for someone who already has a really negative concept of themselves, their body. There's really very little benefit in them scrolling through social media, because this is the society we live in, where they're constantly being fed, again, all of this stuff about how their body, who they are, is not good enough.
While the whole structure of social media is propped up by this advertising model, so you can't escape the ads, and the ads, many of them, their whole business model is, again, creating anxiety so they can sell products, making you feel like you need this in order to be good enough.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's tough, man. One thing before we close, I just want to like kind of reiterate this, because this sort of was a shift in my perspective. I love the idea of body acceptance, not as a replacement for body positivity, but for somebody like me who I don't feel that positive about my body. I can't really force that, but maybe a little more acceptance is achievable for me. A little more acceptance and a little less shame.
Yeah.
Maybe.
A little more grace. Give yourself grace.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you don't have to look like anything. You can choose to look like something.
Yeah.
You don't have to look like anything.
Yeah.
And that's how so Greg and I and everyone were talking before we started recording, and I told him I was going to give him a challenge to his thought process. So here, can I give it to you now?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So before we started recording, you were saying that, correct me if I'm wrong too, and just word it if you need to. You were saying that that you want to change your body, right? You want to be more fit, more cut, more lean.
Yeah.
So you tell yourself every day, today's the day. I'm going to get up. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to get fit. It's happening today.
I try.
And then you get upset because it doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? Because you choose to game, which is fine.
Yeah.
You choose a game. You choose a snack. That's totally okay. We need days like that.
Yeah.
Instead, here's my challenge. On one day, be like, today, I'm going to put pause on game, 15 minutes. I'm going to do 10 push-ups.
Yeah.
Cool. You did it. Sick. You didn't fail. You didn't discourage yourself. You did what you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
And then you can sit down, game, snack. Tomorrow, I'm going to go walk to the store to get my snacks. I'll start gaming. I'll take a break. I'll do my push-ups. Boom. You did that. You accomplished that.
Building a little more.
Do
every
it
day.
one day at a time, dude. And then give yourself the grace for when you don't do it.
Yeah.
And be like, cool, today my body said no. So I don't need to do it, right?
Yeah.
Don't should on yourself.
Yeah. I've had lots
I had a
of
professor tell me that. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
I use that with my clients too. I tell them should equals shit.
yeah. Don't shit on
Don't
yourself,
shit on
man.
yourself.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't
And
need
that's
to do
to all of our listeners. Just don't should on yourself.
Don't shit on yourself. That's
Yeah.
the takeaway. And also, and going back to what you're telling him is like what I had said from the authenticity episode, right? I was like, just put on your shoes.
Yeah.
See what happens. See where it takes you, man.
Yeah. Instead of, don't make these elaborate big day plans, because I'm going to be honest. I'm right there with you, Greg, because since I was going through what I've been through in my personal life, I've been meaning to get back in the gym. When I started moving into the condo we bought, I wasn't able to go to the gym as often as I was, because we were moving and we were dealing with the realtor and we're dealing with all this stuff, and we had a lot of life stress, and I'm also working a lot, so I just wasn't able to make it to the gym.
Yeah.
That was in December. I still haven't made it in the gym.
Right.
Right. And I actually canceled my Planet Fitness gym membership because I don't live near there anymore. It would be kind of like not advantageous to stay over there. So I'm going to be picking up a membership for 24 Hour Fitness, because the gym is very, very important for my mental health.
Yeah.
Right. And for me to stay fit. I need that exercise and that movement in my life. And I'm very aware of that. I haven't been doing that. What I have been doing every day, I need to start working out. I need to get back to the gym. I'm going to go down to 24 Hour Fitness, and I'm going to get a gym membership.
Yeah.
You know how many days I haven't done that?
All of them.
Still hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And it upsets me, right? And it gets frustrating because I'm like, I meant to do that today. I was going to do that this week. I still haven't done it. And it just keeps building up this like annoyance until finally I'm like, I will get the gym membership when I get it. When I am ready and when I have the time to actually go down there instead of forcing this shit, I'm going to go on a hike with my dog instead. Cool. I'm going to go bike around the city. Sick. Because those are still motion. That's still active.
And there's plenty of literature and plenty to say about like motivation, where it comes from, how to cultivate it. I do have school starting soon, so I won't really have as much free time to just sort of do whatever I feel like doing. But I do really like this idea of body acceptance, body neutrality. It's an interesting switch for me from the sort of body positive, because all I hear about is body positivity, and to force myself to be that just seems way less natural than just like, at the very least, this is what I am, this is who I am right now, and I don't have to feel. Maybe I can at least feel 2% less shame.
Well, and you can
1%.
still take care of your body, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if you're like, I'm not super happy with my body and what it looks like and how I'm functioning in it right now, but I'm gonna at least do what I can to take care of it.
At least I will do what I can. I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Breya. This was calming, inspiring. I do want to try to embody these as much as possible. I don't have kids, but when I have kids, I do want to raise them in a way that's body positive and isn't stigmatizing your hair and your wrinkle lines and all this stuff.
That's the future, because that's the future, right?
Yeah.
It is. It truly is. We thank you so much for coming and sitting with us.
So much.
Thank
You are always wonderful.
Oh,
We enjoy having you come in and talk with us.
I enjoy it a lot. Yeah.
I love that.
Glad.
Yeah.
We're glad we're glad you're glad.
We're all glad.
We're all glad. We're all
I'm glad
happy
you're
here.
glad. I'm glad.
Here at the Unzip Mind, we're very glad.
Here at the So again, we thank you guys all for sitting and watching with us, or sitting and listening. If you guys enjoyed what you heard, if you want to hear some more, hit that subscribe button. It helps our channels out. It helps us grow so we can continue on our path here and continue bringing you guys worthwhile content for you to listen to. Go ahead on over to our Facebook, leave us a comment, leave us a message. We love responding. We love chatting with you guys and getting to know everybody. Or you can head over to the unzipmind.com and you can get you can get a hold of us directly through there as well. So thanks for listening. Until next week. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining us, Breya. Thank you.